everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a project pan get ready with me. So we're going to be using products from my Rolling Project 10 pan as well as my Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan. And I'm just going to be creating a full face look using these items in the ways that I use them in my regular routine. I want to just play around and just create a fun look in today's video. I really don't actually know exactly what the results are going to be, but we'll see how this turns out. I'm so excited to just play around with my focus products. I actually had put up a poll on my community tab asking if you would rather see a full face using my current favorites from my makeup collection or my project pan items, and just slightly the project pan option is winning right now with 53% of the votes. So that is what we're doing. I'm going to be sharing with you how I use these in my everyday routine. And yeah, I am so excited to hop into today's video. But before we do, I just wanted to let you know that today's video is actually sponsored by Ana Luisa. If you're not familiar, I have actually been doing a year-long sponsorship with Ana Luisa, and I could not be more grateful and just so excited about this opportunity that I have with them. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Ana Luisa, and I want to share with you some new pieces that I have received from them. So the first piece I want to share with you today is a necklace. It is such a beautiful and unique yet simple piece. This is it right here, and it is called Rebecca. This has a gorgeous kind of starburst almost sort of pendant with a moonstone gem in the center. And I love this chain detailing as well. It has such a gorgeous texture, and it just creates a little bit of interest to a look without being a massive statement, if that makes any sense. And this is what the Rebecca looks like on. It is like the perfect length necklace. I find this just to be so pretty with so many different necklines. It's so flattering and really cute. And of course I had to get it because of the name. Next up is a pair of earrings, and these are so beautiful and so incredibly unique. I don't have anything else like these in my life at all. And I don't know if I've ever seen anything like these either. These are the Spencer earrings, and this is a dark tortoise shell. They are the most gorgeous shape. Look at this. They look so sophisticated and classy, but they still have this feeling that's like almost edgy as well. And they just hug the ear so well. I love the unique shape that these earrings are. I love how lightweight they are as well. They don't feel like I'm wearing anything. They're just really beautiful and just so unique. They really are something special. And then I also have a pair of little studs to share with you today. These are the Debbie studs, and they are so precious. Look at these. They just offer a little bit of sparkle to a look, and I just think that they're so dainty and precious and perfect. I always love pairing a little stud alongside something that's a bit more of a statement. And I love the way that these look because they really do draw your eye and bounce back the light in a way that is just so eye-catching and so pretty. So yeah, I love all three of these pieces. And if you're interested in trying any of these pieces or any Ana Luisa pieces, I highly recommend that you do, because their pieces are incredibly high quality, really beautiful, elegant, and interesting, unique items as well. And for 20% off of your Ana Luisa order, I do have a discount code, which is RebeccaM20, and I do have a unique URL that you can shop through, which is at the top of my description box, and it's always in my description box of all of my videos as well for you to reference back to. But I just want to say again, a huge thank you to Ana Luisa for sponsoring today's video, and to all of you for your continued support in allowing me to work with these amazing brands and to share with you some really great products that I absolutely love. But why don't we just hop on into the full face get ready with me with my project pan items. So I'm starting off today's look with the eyes, and I'm going to kick it off by priming my eyelids. I will leave everything down in the description box, but if it's not in my project pan, I don't think I'll really make too much of a note of it. I'm just going to spread that out with my finger and ensure that it doesn't crease where my eye folds. And then I'm going to actually set it with the highlighter that's in my Charlotte Tilbury Filmstar Bronze and Glow Duo. When I introduced my project pan, I had a suggestion to use this to set down my eyeshadow primer, and I just have been doing that almost habitually now ever since I got that comment. I've been finding that matte shadows in my crease seem to blend out really well, or blend into this product really well. And yeah, I've just been actually really enjoying using this, and it's become almost habitual. It's like every single time that I put down eyeshadow primer, I just reach into this duo now, and it's great. It means that I'm getting really good use out of a highlighter, which is a kind of product category that I don't find myself reaching for that often these days. In the crease, I'm gonna use a shade from my Pan Those Eyeshadows project pan in my Melt Cosmetics Millennial Pinks palette. The shade that I'm working on is called Flamingo Dream, which is a peachy coral kind of shade, and I'm just gonna use this all through the crease. I'm gonna try to keep it a little light because I do find that this is very, very pigmented. So I'm gonna tap off the brush and try to keep this just very faint. I don't want it to be overly pink. In order to tone this down a little bit and to create a little bit more depth in the crease, I'm gonna go again into my Charlotte Tilbury duo. I'm gonna use the bronzer today in the crease as well. I just find that this duo I can use on the face and eyes pretty much every day, and I've been really enjoying doing that. It's become such a critical part of my routine as of late, so I'm just going to use the exact same brush that I put the Millennial Pinks shade down, and I'm just going to apply the bronzer, and you can see that really did mute it, made it a lot more soft. I do feel like that has given me a little bit more definition in the crease as well, and just made this a lot more wearable for my personal preferences. And then I'm gonna go into my Auric Entice Smoke Reflect Duo. The cream shade is currently in my project pan, and so I am going to kind of smother this all over my lids because I absolutely love this color, and I think that it pairs so well with like a more peachy kind of crease like this. So I think using the bronzer to neutralize that pink is just absolutely perfect. I'm just gonna use my finger to apply this. I'm never too particular with this eyeshadow because it does give you a little bit of playtime before it sets down, and I just find it so easy to work with. I'm just going to pop this all over my mobile lid and a little bit up into the crease as well, but I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit more concentrated, and then I can blend it into the crease with a brush. My eyes are so small that sometimes I can definitely get a little out of control when I'm using my finger to apply eyeshadow, but I find that this formula is really forgiving and it's really malleable, and I really do enjoy it for that. Like, that is just using my finger and it's already actually pretty much blended. Like, it's perfect, it's so good. But before I apply it to the other eye, I'm just gonna use the same brush that I was using and just kind of try to smush around that outer corner, because that's where things tend to get patchy for me, just because I'm kind of messy. I never used to like cream eyeshadows that much. I just found that they never worked on my eyelids, but this formula works so well with my hooded eyes. It doesn't end up creasing, it locks down, but it does give me enough like playtime to actually get it applied where I want it, and it's really good. I'm really happy I'm using it in my project pan so that I could kind of come to realize how great of a product it is. I feel like I hadn't really put it to the test before, and that's kind of disappointing that it just has sat around in my collection not being used. Now I have a new appreciation and a new just like enjoyment for it, and that's the beauty of putting project pan items in with usage goals, is like you can just become more familiar with your collection and not necessarily feel the need to use up something completely, but to love on the collection that you have. And now it's about trying to get the placement and the shape as close to similar as possible, but I do oftentimes struggle with that. My eyes are not symmetrical. I always have a hard time doing anything on the left-hand side of my face, whether it's my brow, it's my eyeshadow, it's my mascara. And while I most definitely could just leave this as is, because this shadow is the type of formulation that locks down and just lasts forever, I do have a shade very similar to it in my Pan Those Eyeshadows that I can kind of use to set it down with. It's from my Melt Cosmetics Smoke Sessions palette. Oh my gosh, I never can say that right. Smoke Sessions palette. And the shade is called Black Widow. It's a more golden kind of version of that green, but it is a really good shade to pair with the Auric. So I am going to just pop this into the inner portion of my lid. I also do find that actually for this particular shadow, this Melt one, having that creamy base is imperative to really help it blend and stick down to the lid too, because this is more of a chunky texture. It can be a little bit challenging. So that Auric paired with it is just fabulous. So that's all I'm gonna do for the eyes for the time being, but I'm gonna finish up the face and then kind of see what else needs to be done with the eye look. So I'm gonna go into my Too Faced Hangover Primer. This is a very moisturizing primer formula. So I'm going to use this more so in the center of my face where I've been finding I have a little bit more dryness lately, which is just around my nose, the kind of center of my cheeks here. And then between my eyebrows recently I've been finding is quite dry. And you know what? Actually, what I'm going to do is mix a little bit more of this primer on the back of my hand with the liquid highlighter that I'm currently working on in the project as well, which is my Cover FX Custom Enhancer Drops. And I am going to just mix these two products on the back of my hand together and use that to highlight on the top of my cheekbones as well. I really like diluting the Cover FX because it's such an intense highlight. It does give me an opportunity to make it just sit on the skin a little bit less intense. And you can see like that still is super intense, but I have been really preferring it this way so it's not as blinding. And then I'm gonna put this just in the center of my chin, on the very tip of my nose, and up above my brows too, for a little bit of glow on those high points of the face. And I'm gonna let this kind of settle into the skin a little bit before I go in with my tinted moisturizer. So in the meantime, I might as well just use what's left on the back of my hand on the top of my collarbones here. This is the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue. You know I adore this stuff so much, and I'm just gonna use my fingers to blend this in. I've been finding that I prefer it that way lately, so I'm just gonna put a few little dollops onto my face. Personally, I don't need to use a lot because I'm just trying to even things out. I'm not really trying to perfect my skin, but I am trying to just make things look a little bit more uniform, especially in the center of my face where I do get a little bit more pink. And this just blends into the skin so seamlessly and so effortlessly. It's just such a beautiful product. I've been finding recently that applying this with my fingers and really blending it into the skin has been helping it from settling into my lines. I kind of like push it into my fine lines on my forehead and around my smile lines, and I just find that it just sits so well. At the moment, I don't actually have a brow product in my project pan, nor do I have a concealer in my project pan, so I think I'm actually just gonna go off camera to do those two steps, and then I'll be right back. So the brows and concealer are on. Let's move into my cream bronzer that I've been working on. This is my Milk Makeup Matte Bronzer in the shade Baked. This is just a favorite, and you'll see why. It is just effortless. So I'm just using a stippling brush to apply this, and it just like instantly becomes one with my skin. But this is how I apply it pretty much every day. I just bounce it onto the skin, and I just love it. Look at that. And then I'm just gonna use whatever is left on the brush to kind of get up into the hairline. And I'm going to put a tiny bit onto the nose. What I'm gonna do is kind of pinch my brush together and just get a tiny bit of product. I think I actually got too much there. I'm gonna put a little bit on the back of my hand, yeah. And just blend that across the nose. I love a little sun-kissed nose moment. And then I guess I may as well use what's on the back of my hand now. So I'm just gonna use my dampened sponge and just apply that on top to kind of blend everything seamlessly into the skin. Like, look how nice this skin looks. Like, it just looks like real skin, but enhanced. I love it. I think with this pinky crease, I want to use the purple lipstick sample that I'm working on as a cream blush. This is the Mob Beauty M55 lipstick. I'm going to apply it onto the cheeks using my finger and just blend it out using my ring finger as well. I love the sheerness of this texture. I think that it's just so incredibly flattering, whether it's on the lips or on the cheeks. It's not meant to be a multi-purpose product, quite honestly, but You can use almost any cream lipstick formula on the cheeks as a cream blush. It's one of my favorite things to do, actually. Like, I have been loving having a extensive cream blush repertoire by going into the lipsticks that I own. And then I'm just gonna use a tiny bit on the bridge of my nose as well. I feel like I need a little bit more on my left cheek. And I do have a little bit extra on the fingers, so I'm just gonna apply that to my lips now. I actually haven't been reaching for this very often on the cheeks, but I am gonna use my Charlotte Tilbury Filmstar Bronze and Glow Duo on the cheeks. I'm gonna use the highlighter on a Real Techniques setting brush. This is my favorite brush to apply this product with because I find that it's not overly impactful. I can really buff it out. So I'm just going to apply it to the very highest point of my cheek, kind of where my brow meets my cheek, and really buff it. And I've been liking doing this on unset skin as well because it really just blends seamlessly into my cream products that way too. And then a tiny bit on the tip of my nose just for fun. I think before I finish off the lower lash line and before I do my mascara, I'm going to do my lips just to kind of see what things look like. I'm going to use the Melt All Day Everyday Ultra Matte Lip Liner in the shade Cinder to line my lips. I do have a tiny bit of that lipstick on from when I was applying it on my cheeks, but it's barely there. It's just hardly a tint. I want to see what I want to pair this with as well when I see kind of how it goes with what I've got going on in my crease. I wasn't planning this, but I'm just gonna fill in my lips as well. I think I'm gonna use my number 7 lipstick in Spiced Latte all over the lips, and having this kind of salmon-y color underneath, this corally kind of color underneath, will make it lean a little bit more pinky. I think that will pair really nicely with the crease that I have. I just decided off camera to set underneath of my eyes to lock in my concealer. That's an absolute must for me. My under eyes do not like it if I don't set them down because they just instantly pool up product. It doesn't matter what product I'm using under my eyes. It's an essential step for me. And so I kind of set a little bit just around the edge of my nose and right between my brows as well to ensure that things didn't look too shiny there. I do feel like I need to use this bronzer today to just pull the look together and to make sure that I'm using these things to the fullest. So I'm going to use the bronzer from the Charlotte Tilbury Duo. And the brush that I'm using is actually like a really quite large blush brush. And I'm going to work the product into the brush. And then I'm just swirling it on the mirror. I do this with like all my powder bronzers these days. I swirl it into the mirror or the compact or whatever. And that way I don't put down too much product. I don't get like a really concentrated section of product either. And I'm just gonna dust this onto more so at the back of my cheekbones because this is more neutral. So I feel like this is better suited to being a really like sculpting kind of bronzer. And really often whenever I roll like a corally or a pinky or a peachy kind of shade into my pan, those eyeshadows, I get endless suggestions to use them as blushes. So I am going to use my Melt Flamingo Dream as a blush today as well. I have this small little blush brush here that I'm just going to kind of pinch and make sure it can fit into the one and only pan. I do not want it to get into that shimmery pink, but I'm just going to, again, tap it off, and I'm just gonna really lightly dust this onto the very tops of my cheeks. I'm really trying to not over apply this. I don't want my cheeks to be super bold, but it's always fun to just go all in with all the makeup for the heck of it. I'm using pretty much every single thing that I have in my project pans at the moment, actually today. With that, why don't we actually use every single product that's in my project pans? So there are 2 other eyeshadows that I could feature from my Pan Those Eyeshadows. The first one being the kind of rosy bronze shade that's called High Strung. So I'm just going to apply this using a very small, dense brush on my lower lash line. I was actually initially planning to just put the green on the lower lash line or just the coral or maybe the bronzer from this duo into the lower lash line or onto the lower lash line rather, but this is fun. And so I do need to use the silver, which comes from my Colourpop Hocus Pocus palette. I did end up taking it out of the palette just to reach for it a little bit more frequently. And I'm just gonna put this into, I think, the inner corner. Let me take another look. A really up close and personal look. Do I want it on the inner corner? Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm going to put it right in the center of my lid as like a little spotlight situation. I probably should have done that with my finger. That kind of gave me a lot of fallout, so I'm just going to dust it away with a little bit of loose powder on this setting brush. Oopsie. And then I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Duo to do my inner corner actually. I just wasn't feeling that silver in the inner corner. You know what I've not yet tried with the silver though, and I'm going to try right now, is to put on my brow bone. It's a bit loud, but it's makeup. It just washes off at the end of the day, so why not? So I'm actually gonna pop off camera, do my mascara, and yeah, I'll share with you what the finished look is looking like momentarily. Mascara is on, and although the look is very much complete in my eyes, there is one single makeup product that is in a project pan that I haven't featured. I have all 4 of my Pan Those Eyeshadows products. I have 9 out of my 10 project pan items on my face. The only item that's outstanding is my butter gloss, so let's just go big and put this on as well to finish off the look. It's just fun to challenge myself to use everything together, and this just pairs perfectly with these other lip products. So I'm just gonna pop this on. And voila, now that is absolutely every single one of my focus products on my face to complete this look today. When I was sitting down to film this, I wasn't intending to feature every project pan item, but it ended up becoming a little bit of a fun challenge to do, and I love the completed look. I always like a kind of dirty, grungy green paired with a coral or pink kind of crease. I've really played around in today's look. This was so much fun. I really appreciate you watching and hanging out with me to create this look. It was a blast. I actually had so much fun. I hope that seeing this look come together really inspires you to play around with the project pan items that you're currently focusing on if you're doing a project pan. But that is everything for today's video. Again, a massive thank you to Ana Luisa for sponsoring today's video and for sending these beautiful pieces along to share with you. That is everything. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye everyone.